MVP's turn to pick.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. We're getting ready to hop into our first group stage game of MDL. That's the Mars TV Dota League. We're in game number 2 of MVP Phoenix versus LGD Forever Young. I'm KotLGuy for Beyond the Summit. I'm going to be joined again remotely by the one and only Lumi. Lumi, welcome back. We were praising up a bit about LGD Forever Young. We have the new Xiao Wade squad. He's been throwing it together. And for MVP, I know they've had some teams hop ship, go off to secret, and a bit of a role swap, but would you have ever expected such a one-sided, heavy-handed performance by MVP in the game 1?
Not particularly, but I mean, if you look at past record, MVP traditionally does very well in LANs, especially in the group stage, right? Because they have this style where, like you mentioned, they just bum rush you. And very few teams, honestly, give MVP ever credit. Like, no team ever comes into tournament and be like, we're going to prepare against MVP. We're going to prepare for the Koreans and their one strategy. They never do that. And they always get taken surprised by this bum rush strat. Honestly, people start taking notes.
Yeah.
They always run this one strategy, and you could actually beat it if you spend some time on it.
Wings
but
did.
Teams never do.
Wings did take the one time. They like, at least I know it was a different MVP team, but it was still that MVP play style, that same style that we saw the PAs coming out nonstop. And it wasn't until they approached Wings, and Wings is like, okay, we get it. You guys like to draft 5 freaking melee and go ham, so we're just gonna do this.
And guess what? That team won TI, so I'm just like, there is a lesson there, right?
Yeah, you can't take anything lightly. These sleeping dragons just come into these LAN tournaments and start surprising everybody when everyone comes in like, well, I got to prepare for EG in secret. No, you got to make sure you got all bases covered, people. And MVP could be making another MVP-esque run here and now at MDL. Let's see what's going on here. Game number 2, Lumi. We got Faceless Void, Shadow Demon making another appearance in our first round pickups. I'm very surprised they're not banned. While LGD go back for the Wisp and the Sand King. Now, if this was the classic LGD Lumi, I'd be like, awesome, MMY Wisp, but no, not today, not this LGD. MMY currently on a temporary retirement, unfortunately.
Well, LPC's IO is actually not bad. I've seen him play the hero quite a bit, and he's been quite good on it. They generally pair it with the Storm, so there's some juice here for that Super Storm. Hopefully for him, he's going to do a little bit better. The problem with IO, at least going against a Faces Void matchup, is that depending on where the Chrono lands on your ally, it can be super hard to actually get that relocate breakout. Because the way that Tether and relocate work together, you have, I think, about a 2-second time to channel that relocate. And as you tether in to your ally, you could just face rush the Chrono, get yourself stunned, and get yourself cancel the relocate. And then instead of saving your ally, both of you guys are dead.
Yeah,
LPC is going to have to play around that a little bit, but given the caliber of the player that he is, I imagine he'll be fine.
He better hit all of them, and in the one he doesn't hit, we will scrutinize him for that, Lumi. That's just how it goes. So you should know by now, you're going against Faceless Voids, accept the fact that he's in the meta. There's going to be Chronos, and you're going to have Tether challenges, but it's on you to prepare and exercise so that you will be ready and be able to pull out that clutch, odd shot highlight moment on your Wisp. So for the meantime, though, MVP were able to creep in Lady Mirana here. I've been seeing a wealth of Mirana play in the European scene, at least the Tier 2 European scene when we had the BTS series. She has been a very, very valuable asset. I mean, what do you think? I mean, Ice Frog comes in, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to give this girl an Agnum's upgrade. And Lumi, the Agnum's upgrade's so good that she just bounces right up from never played to always played. Is she at the point where you think they might need to turn her down a bit, or do you think that it's okay with where she is?
I believe they have, right? Didn't they nerf the second Starfall for the Aghanim?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
They don't always... Right.
Is that enough, though? Do you think that's enough?
I think so. I mean, she used to be a constant pick, like you said, but if you look at MVP here, she's not picked just as Mirana. She's picked with the arrow combo as well, right? Kind of how Mirana used to be picked up when Sing Sing was playing for Cloud9. You know, you got the Shadow Demon Disrupt combo, you got the Faceless Void, and some teams pick her with Naga Siren as well with the song setup. We're gonna see Ogre as well. You know, if this is any other team playing it, I'm like, hey, you're getting a little bit too crazy with, you know, not enough cores. But it's MVP and they end games in 20 minutes, so it doesn't matter. And Ogre Magi is probably one of the best frontline tank heroes. I'm more hyped up with the Leshrac.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I'm like, where'd this goat guy come from? I mean, we understand he was the star of the show back at like, what was it, TI5, but since then it's been very few and far between, with maybe your alliance coming in and being like, yeah, we can still do S4 Leshrac. But outside of that, it's like, who's really playing Leshrac and what is he doing in these games? I don't have any extra insight into that, but I don't know, Lumi, like, what do you think? Is it going to be paired together as a support along with the Wisp? Or is he mid?
I feel like he's mid, which makes me scared because it's super playing it for one. And second, Lightning Storm has been nerfed on the mid lane, right? Especially if you're laning against Mirana, you might not get the bounces where you hit the creeps and Mirana. The good thing that you have as a Leshrac this game is that no matter if you're Chrono or Disrupted, your ultimate still channels on.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
You have that forever fresh combo of Sand King stun into Leshrac stun. That's always been around, so there's some nice little bit of synergy there. But I'm not sure. I'm not sold on this. On the other side, you have a lot of burst damage. Ogre, if he gets a lucky multicast, not that people max Fire Blast anymore, but if Fire Blast comes with the arrow on top of that, Leshrac's gonna die.
Yeah, and I would imagine for MVP's last pick, they're gonna get something super juicy. I don't know if it's gonna be like a Clinks or something, but you got the Ogre there to help ramp it up a bit, and so much of this like ranged, heavy-hitting damage around the Chrono, and whoever this 5th pick is, he gets a BKB. Lesh, Sand King, I mean, they might be stuck crying. Oh, Dragon Knight now. See, that's a superhero. I mean, that's a superhero. So that is going to be a support Lesh, from what I'm gathering. If that's a support Lesh, your initial, the stigma about it is you got to make sure you put something with it, because that stun is not easy to land. And I don't know if a Wisp slow tether is good enough to help land one. So
they got Sand King.
They got Sand King. They got Sand King. I don't know though, man. I'm a bit skeptic. I'm not gonna lie about the support Leshrac. This should be interesting.
I'm wondering how they're gonna lane it. Is this gonna be a 2-1-2, or is it gonna be something else like Lesh Sand King offlane? Take us back to the old days where Lesh Sand King dual lane was
Why not
thing.
though, right? Okay, here we go. The finger cramping Tinker pick here by QO now. It's not his face rush like Slark, Ember, PA pickup. I mean, this is definitely the high ceiling mechanical grab, but a Tinker now shows up, and you got to factor in like now that ridiculous laser, the new potential Aether Lens Ags build. What do you think about a Tinker now coming in as 5th pick for MVP, and how he'll be able to match up against what LGD have already kind of shown with their 5?
It didn't feel like this was the plan A pick for MVP. But they banned Timber, they banned PA, so like it's one of Keel's hero that's left that fits the situation. Because normally when you play Tinker, you want a lot of vision. You want the Bounty, the Ricky to drop the deep wards, or you want at least like Clockwork or Zeus to give you some kind of deep rockets. They don't have any of that, so it just kind of feels like it's a comfortable hero. And I honestly think it's okay. I mean, it's good at blinding the DK when he's pushing, but aside from that, I don't think it's a great pick here. It's okay.
I'm curious to see where psychologically Monet is going to be. For a lot of people who don't know, Monet is kind of one of the newer bloods, if you will, on this team. He came away from CDEC Avenger. Before that was on FTD Club C, so relatively unknown. And your first game you come in, you have a Morphling game, and it's not going so well. And I don't know if he decided, you know what, I want to give the Morphling another shot, or if Zhao Weight's like, you're playing Morphling again, but the pressure could be on, and already, like last game, could be early first blood initiative here for MVP. Looking to make a go for LPC. This stun will connect nicely from Zhao Wei as they now look to go on Ryzen with the Breath of Fire coming on through. It's going to be Super who fights back, looking for vengeance from game 1.
They might get another one. Tether's back up here. They got the movement speed for another. Okay, Zhao Wei's
he got trapped. Yeah, that was awkward.
Yeah,
we'll call him out for that one.
But with the first blood, LPC's gone for the quick bottle build. Like, he's guaranteed to get the bottle now. They might even give him the rune. So off to a great start. We still don't exactly know what the lanes are at. It looks like a standard defensive tri-lane here though for LFY, or maybe a dual lane IO mid with the ZK.
Yeah, they'll probably have the IO hang around the mid lane. I mean, IO DK, it's not your peanut butter and jelly, but nonetheless, it's something that could still work. I mean, IO plus whatever mid lane is set to be fine. Yeah, I mean, it's Zhao Wei of all people. I mean, this guy's one of the greatest Dota players on the planet, so his, single support safe lane game, I'm curious to see what a Lesh can do in that kind of position. He's not what I would really put in the top 5 of being solo support zoners or defensive heroes to save your morph. So, I don't know. I'm excited to see what he plans on doing, because this is going to be a hard lane. It's a full aggro lane here. How are LFY going to match up decently in this lane? This is going to be nuts.
Look, Kato, you were asking how he's gonna land the raw stuns without setup. He just did earlier, right? To set up the first blood. So I mean, I have nothing but faith for Xiao here.
We'll see how many words I end up eating. I hope they're a lot, but he's gonna be the one who could be stunned up first. Early coming in disruption there for Idubu. And Xiao Wei confidently just striding on forward towards the 3 here. So just a little bit of that, you know, flexing my muscles, pumping my chest. Who wants to be the real first man, if you will, in this bottom lane? We'll have to see.
All right, LPC swings around, sees an ogre now, decides not to.
Don't even think about going for that pull. I mean, they already had the ward down, but they're just really trying to pull out the intimidation game.
Okay, well, now with the IO here, giving the tether movement speed, Xiao is looking to be aggressive. I think the explosive firepower of this MVP offensive trial lane is nowhere near what they got last time, especially when they're so aware of this tether, or sorry, the disruption arrow combo. Febi's been spending his arrows onto the creeps. Like, he's not even looking to get kills. And I just don't think that's the way to run this offensive tri lane. Like, if you can't get kills with this offensive tri lane, it's not going to work. I say that, though. Arrow's going to come in.
It gets him. Okay, then. Okay, then. But Xiao Wei, there's still creeps there blocking him out. Eventually, they will be able to get the kill on that one. They could lose Rise in exchange, though. Monet commits in with the wave. They still need more Shockwave. Oh, so close, yet so far. Ogre, though, as we know, has a ridiculous amount of armor, a ridiculous amount of fatness, and is not going to be brought down easily. If he was any other hero, it would have been a completely different ball game, but this is Ogre, people. He lives, he walks away.
Yep. And it's very important for both lanes to get their level 2s. Xiao Wei's, again, really far ahead, but looks like Arrow was not prepped up there. There was a random save tier there, look, making it dangerous. Debu dodges a stun, and he walks away. If that one hit, that was the kill.
It's going to be really hard for me to peel my eyes away from this bottom lane, just with how ridiculous action-packed it is. And I know we're kind of like looking at it in the sense of comparing it to game number 1. Like, is this working out as good for MVP? I mean, I would bet that the reason they put this together is they're hoping to be able to fluster the Morphling, and they haven't done that nearly to the effect that they did in game 1. Last game, you remember, he was trying to jump around different lanes. He really had no place to call home. He's not doing that bad at all now. I mean, 9-2. He's beating out the Mirana on the other side of the lane. I mean, they're doing just fine down here for LFY. I'm curious to see what's happening in the other part of the globe. The mid lane matchup between the DK Tinker now is 14 for the DK, 13 for the Tinker. Is this expected? I know DK can tank up and do his work, but you know, you got to worry about lasers too, I'd imagine.
I mean, he's got Dragon Blood to help it out, so I don't think he's worried at all. That's the difference between this game and last game. Last game, the tri-lane was winning for MVP, but so were their solo lanes. Remember, Kyo was just wrecking the Storm mid, and then the Timber versus the Morphling matchup was not good for the Morph either. If you look at this game, DK is even with a Tinker, right? Which is all you could ask for from a DK. And then the Void Sanking matchup, Sanking eventually is going to walk all over him with that Caustic Finale. So, you know, LFY to me is almost winning every single lane. Like a complete 180 from what happened last game. So MVP now.
I was going to say, I was expecting this is not going to be, I thought this was going to be more of a crushing here actually from the Sand King. He is winning the lane. Caustic Finale is devastating, especially someone like this Faceless Void. Mid lane though, MVP on the assault, looking to go from the mid lane. Coming in from behind is going to be Dubu, sets it up with a disruption. Ryzen's there to follow it up with some nuking damage, but LPC has rotated in. The paramedic has arrived, and man, look at him heal up super. Just easily shrugs it all off. The man is a serious tank, and that gank is just totally nerfed down.
Yeah, the gank began when he had like 3 or 4 magic wand, and they had to like pump more spells into the gank. With the IO teleported in, they had a 0% chance of killing super. And you know, this is how LGD wanted to play the last game, and they're playing it now. And suddenly, you're looking at an underfarm Mirana. You talk about Axe being a big component of her. Well, she's not going to get it anytime soon. I don't think Monet's going to have a 25-minute Lincoln Sphere this game.
Yeah, I mean, he still had to put up with the aggro lane, so it's not going to be your casually moving forward, normal safe lane farming experience for a Morphling, but it is not nearly as crippling as it was in Game 1, so there's a little bit of promise there. Overall, definitely a much better turnaround for LFY, just given the circumstances. So we get to see MVP in a kind of situation where it's on them to kind of pull this game back, because would you think, based on their lineup, that their early game is very critical? I know they have to wait for a build-up on the Tinker to get Boots of Travel to have that whole game going for them, but we might have to hold that thought at a moment, because they got a really nice arrow set up on the Monet here in the bottom lane, but they have to work through all that strength. Can they get it? And he just waveforms away. LPC again, right there in time, and it's going to be another gank snubbed.
I almost want to say, oh, Dragonite gets a solo kill in the mid lane. That's something that we don't expect.
Whoa.
Super, you know, pound for pound, I was going to say Kyo was definitely the more mechanical player there, but that would have made my words. Kyo gets a solo kill. And honestly, I didn't think DK was capable of that, honestly, against the Tinker.
It was a hard commitment. And by the time I get over there, he's well behind the tower and just was able to kind of maybe take advantage. Who knows? Maybe QO with his pants down, watching what's happening in the bottom lane as we're watching it now. Disruption, arrow, another connection. Can they get a kill this time for MVP? They will be able to. QO has stepped in, blast out with a huge laser, will be able to pop Zhao Wei, but oh, nice deny. The neutral creep steps in and says, get off my lawn. Blasts him down with a shockwave. Ryzen will get the follow-up as he pops LPC, making it a 2-for-1 trade. Well, technically 2-for-0.
He's going to suicide to Roche. They did not expect the Tinker to come in, and honestly, they had to have the Tinker to come in to make sure that that burst damage was there. So great rotation by QO after his death, really making it worth it. Essentially got 3 kills on the bottom, although 2 of them was not credited to MVP.
So MVP already making that good step forward in recovery when they were the team now to be on the bad end of a laning phase. Ryzen is now becoming a bit more mobile here. He still has not much to show for his name, but Ogre has plenty of time to build up, and I'm sure a lane swap could occur if he needs a little bit of that solo loving if necessary. But with Chrono now online, I'm curious to see if MVP have the resources to maybe make some use out of it here. I guess I would assume that Tinker might need to get involved, or maybe a Murano arrow to kind of stack with it.
Right. You were asking me earlier, it's like how much does MVP need to win this early game? A lot, because the mid-game teamfight is just not that strong. Yes, they do have the Chronosphere, but they don't have big AoEs to back it up, right?
Yeah.
What are they chroning into? An arrow? A marching machine? It's just not great. Mid lane, though, now QO kind of past the river. I think he's going to be dead under the tower shot. Yeah, he is definitely dead. And it looks like Vale is going to be able to jump away, but, you know, I think QO is honestly all of MVP's late game hope, and you shut him down, and you're good.
Yeah, and I don't know how often, rarely we see QO, like, put into a cold kind of position early on. Normally this kid is very hot and then just rides that kind of wave and hopes that his team is there to kind of be at his back while he's just moving so fast. But for him to kind of get, you know, hit down like this early, it's rare to see him in a position where he's going to have to be on recovery mode, and that is a bit tricky on a Tinker. But they are looking for a bit of a bounce back play here. Mid lane jumping from Velo, gets a nice 2-man chrono. They go right for the Wisp, the prime target, and then the follow-up on Super could be there, and they will be able to burst down through both of them. Very nice response there by MVP, and they will look to segue that into a tier 1 in the mid lane.
Glyph is available for LFY. They will use it immediately. In theory, LFY is actually good at defending towers with things like Lightning, as well as Sanking Burrow Strike with the Blink Dagger, but the positioning is quite good here for MVP. And imagine they should take this tower without too much trouble.
Yeah. Wisp will pull the aggro away, but this tower is MVP's. There is a bit of a trade here as LFY will be able to do some work. Yahweh not really putting a lot invested into Diabolic Edict, so he doesn't really have that huge pushing tool quite yet. But I don't know. Mid lane, what is happening here? Complete rush turnaround here from LFY as they scurried MVP back the river. But for Littler Shrek, do you think that they got what they needed out of the early laning phase with him? I mean, he helped a bit.
For Leshrac, you said?
Yeah, for Leshrac.
Yeah, the early game's fine, which is never really Leshrac's issue in the early game. It's just how he transitioned into the mid game, because you have a very squishy support that very much so depends on item. That's, you know, how the mid Leshrac work. And I just don't know how he's gonna segue there, right? Like he remains very squishy, and that's just food for Tinker once Tinker gets the Blink Dagger.
Yeah, his effectiveness really becomes a bit limited. And it's not like a disruptor where it's like, well, he just gets levels, and you don't really need crazy items. Like, your skills alone are just so freaking good. That long-range glimpse, that setup, you don't have to worry about too much. Lesh, it's like, yeah, you can get lots of levels, and that's great, but he still needs items, too. Everything costs so much freaking mana, and you have to be in the fight, really, to get everything off. So
that's the big problem. Like, your skill puts you at melee range, which, when you have 660 HP at level 5, you're like, it's like, okay. Well, I guess I died to 2 nukes.
So Xiaowei will need some time to be selfish, you know, and really just grind away to try to at least get some decent items under his belt, some good levels, so that he can make any sort of mid-game impact, because that's always how it goes with a Lesh, especially a support one is, all right, dude, you got out of the landing phase, you did your job, but what are you doing now? Find a job and do it well. We'll have to see what it's going to be here for Xiao Wei, but potential new setup.
Let me paint a scenario for you, right?
Okay.
If LFY is the one that's initiating these fights with the Blink, Burrow Strike, with the Dragonite frontlining, it doesn't matter that you have not much HP. If you're the one that's chasing the other people down, you can run in and Diabolic Edict. You can run in and use your ult.
That's true.
So I think that's the position that LFY is. They want to put themselves into. The only thing they have to worry about is Chronosphere, but you know, Chronosphere does have a long cooldown. It looks like Chrono or not, Veil is gonna get ganked here. The Chain Stun is gonna be good. Do they have the burst? Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. Very nice lead in there with the assisted move speed coming out from LPC. Super just easily rushes on in. And if Velo happened to be maybe scoping himself with the Time Walk or a Chrono, it could have been different, but they're able to catch him. And with their lineup, you know, one stun will lead to another. Will probably lead to another after that. Really rare chance of being able to make it away. So good grab by them, and now they will use that opportunity to move themselves into a tier 1 tower. Lesh always has a job pushing towers, so he'll be there in the front row helping out. But MVP are not far. Oh, nice jump in. Comes in from Yao, follow up another stun. They're looking to burst through Dubu. A Dragon Tail and everything, man. But here's the response. Velos jumps back from the dead, gets in with a Chrono. They're looking to go for Xiao Wei. Can they burst him down? Oh, nice. LPC jumping. Saves him right away with a wand pop and the tether, but not going to be enough to get the save. A stun in from Yao. Now he has to be able to walk away here, and he's not going to make it out. They get a nice connection with the arrow, and he will be going down. Super and LPC. A tag team here that's been working out throughout the game, trying to make it back in a way. Velo jumps in. Oh, how nice. A one-hit bash right there. LPC, they're not going to be stopped. And Monet showed up to play, and they're going to be able to get their own takedown as they drop the Faceless Void. Good turnaround play, but it's still a 3-for-1 trade for MVP.
FY really staying a little bit too long. I think they thought the Dragon form was going to last a little bit longer, so they stood and fight, but it just ran out halfway through the fight. And FY, you know, suddenly on the back foot of things after a good Chrono. And that's where MVP really needs to make every one of the Chrono counts. Every time they Chrono, they got 2 to 3 kills. So that's a pretty good rate if you ask me. My big worry now is Febby. Is he keeping up with this game? Doesn't seem so, because the CS chart, despite having the highest for his team, is still not very high at all.
Yeah. It could change, and it might not happen, I don't know, maybe until QO gets his Blink Dagger. When QO gets his Blink Dagger, I feel like he becomes almost a new hero. He'll be able to participate a lot, but that Blink Dagger might be put on hold a bit longer, Lumi, because he's been caught out top lane behind the tower, and they're going to burst him and beat him the hell up. So Blink Dagger might have to wait a little bit longer. And it looks like he'll have to step up for the Soul Ring in the meantime. That kill leads to a tower, and suddenly LFY have just gotten a lot of net worth advancing their way. This 2K net worth advantage is going to bop up to probably a 4K here in a moment.
Yeah. You know, having watched QO all these years, I feel like he does best on heroes that doesn't need item to begin snowballing. Think of his best heroes like Timbersaw, PA, Slark. These heroes could just get the kills in the laning stage, right?
Yeah.
Tinker's not that hero. So I feel like a lot of his effectiveness as a player is not felt when it's paired with the Tinker. I'm not sure how you feel about the matter.
No,
overall.
I definitely, it's something I was saying in lane stage, it's one of those things, like, you don't see QO's face and his playstyle on a Tinker, and it's exactly for those kind of reasons you were saying. You know, he's the kind of guy who could be ruthless throughout all aspects of the game, laning stage or not, have kill opportunities. Tinker's just, he can get kills throughout the whole game, any hero could, but it doesn't come naturally. It's not in the skill set to easily make it happen. So it's very different for QO. It's, you know, I'm not going to say that's the reason why, you know, his Tinker's playing the way it is, but it's just not a QO kind of a hero, and, you know, maybe part of the reason we don't see him playing it very often.
Yeah, and the times I have seen him playing it, he's been losing with it. And in fact, QO is going to get ganked again here.
Yeah, it's
triple
rough.
Stun, good. And LFY continue to row here.
Very good.
And every time they get these kills, Diabolic Edict is working on towers.
It really has. I mean, it makes the +1 game here for LFY, you know, going from kills to objectives, kills to objectives. I mean, last time I checked, that's how you win a Dota game after all. So LFY certainly kind of got that going for them, and that means that they can take more and more control of the map with these top 2 towers going down. They could control the MVP jungle, and they're not done yet. They made a move in now. Mid lane, caught in the woods. Dubu is going to be able to get off the self-disruption, but Monet's going to be waiting for him. And, well, there he'll eat the waveform and quickly get him down. Jumping from Bello, gets the 2-man chrono. Quickly will finish off LPC. Now looks to go for Yao here. Yao is going to be able to burrow strike to the low ground and make it back in away. While all the meanwhile, Monet just right-clicks apart the big bad ogre, and he is going to get dropped. QO's here now. He's died twice straight, and he's looking to take some names, but the chase isn't really there by MVP. They have no additional lockdown. With the chrono being gone, with ogre being gone, the chase will conclude.
Yeah, I mean, the previous Chronos has been great, but now we see the lack of synergy with the Chronos. Yes, you got an arrow, but you don't have, let's say, insert random AoE, you don't have a Dragon Slave, you don't have a Kunkka Bolt to throw with it. You have Shadow Demon Poison, you got Ignite. These are not the AoE spells that we want. Despite the Chrono being good, all they got was IO kill. Oh, great. Meanwhile, Super is, you know, this is the namesake hero, right? You kind of was excited during the draft. I am too, and he's farming his stack. He's got the Dragon Lance. I'm still positioning to Ice Rock that if you get Dragon Lance on a Dragon hero, you should get like 3 more strength or something, because it fits. No one has turned my emails yet. No one has replied back. But jokes aside, it's a great item on DK. Allows him to siege much from a safer distance. If he wants Blink to keep up the tempo with his with the Sanking, that's great. Or if he wants to tank up, Armlet's also good. So really, the world is SK's oyster right now, or really Dragon Knight's oyster.
It's just, you know, we were just finishing talking about what is a typical kind of QO hero to us. I mean, this is the typical superhero. The DK, the Death Prophet, the Razor, they all kind of do the same thing. It's not crowd pleasing, it's not the dribbling through the legs kind of a work, but oh man, they spot DK, but it's too late. As they pop the dust, he's going to be able to get off a good Dragon Tail. The follow-up is going to be there with the Burrow Strike, but it's not going to be enough. They're going to be able to turn it around and take out that Sand King. Time dilation, very effective, but they still bull rush forward, and they pop another, and they're going to go ahead and get QO2. Huge committed fight right now for LFY as they just force MVP back. What could have been a very awkward situation turns out very pleasant for LFY.
You see, when your Sand King initiates with a Ravage Burrow Strike, it doesn't matter that Xiaowei has 800 HP. He was the first one leading the charge with his ultimate turned on, and that's where Leshrac gets really good when he doesn't have to worry about being focused. And that's really the game plan for LFY. Take a fight, take an objective. Monet will go forward. Does he have his ultimate ready? That's a question. He's actually really deep in there. Gotta be careful if you're Monet. Cannot die and give a freebie here to MVP. Still tanking it up. He's very tanky. Xiaowei on the back line, setting up stuns. Oh, that was a Nombo, as you call it, as LFY, miscommunicating a little bit.
Bello has been trying to get in there and get off a chrono, but they keep bumping him back out, and now he doesn't really have the mana to work with it. So no chrono there for MVP. They got to get the hell back. Oh, an opportunity potentially gone in LFY. Looking to punish them for it. They are on chase. And Ryzen says, I will make them follow me, team. You go off and make it away. The Ogre valiantly sacrifices himself as they just slaughter him down in the river. And with that, LFY pull off more confident than ever. MVP reaching at this point for any sort of response, and that's how it felt in the fight previous, where you were saying they didn't get off that very effective chrono. It feels like they're just, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say they're desperate, but you could tell they really want any sort of counterplay.
Yeah, I mean, chrono is the only counterplay that they have, so they're so reliant on it, unless like Febby hits a random 5-second arrows, which they can still relocate that person out.
He went Dragon Lance. I actually don't see that very often on the core Maranas. That is a new one for me.
I mean, it's good stats, right?
Yeah. Dragon Lance gives stats. Yeah, it does. I mean, usually we would sing, what, a lot of the spellcasters, Agnum Scepter, for God's sake. But,
I mean, just going back to the point of, look, we need more AoE into that Chronosphere. Now not having the Agnums make that even more hurting. I think his logic is, look, we need an item now to win a fight. I just don't know if you want to make that investment, because this is a bold investment.
It really is.
Like,
I can
chapter 11s if you don't, you know, make
like,
this investment.
Just get something now. It's on sale. It's on discount. Let's go. Super is going to get the BKB off. The Purge will be there, but just as fast as they went into approach, they just 180 and walk right back out. I guess satisfied enough with the BKB charge, but look who came in from the skies above, looking to find Dubu, but Dubu, he has a Moonlight Shadow to help him out, and that is a relocate not going too far. But Febby, he's got Dragon Lance, so he thinks he can just walk in there and catch him from range, but he's in trouble, buddy. That Dragon Lance isn't going to save you from that. He goes down. MVP. Oh, very unfortunate opportunity.
I felt like both games that we watched so far is just decided in the laning stage. Like, one team's strategy gets to take off and the other team does not. Yeah. Velo gonna get Burrow Striked up. Alright, Whisper is gonna be there, but Disruption's gonna allow him to walk himself out of there.
Monet shows up now, but obviously he's a bit too late if he wanted to kind of stack on some extra damage for that Faceless Void, and we'll have to take himself back out to the bottom lane to farm up from there. So it's not going so well for MVP. We got that already. But, you know, you do have the Tinker on your side. He's getting closer to the Blink Dagger. Do you think maybe once he's able to get that under his belt, he could, have a Tinker split push kind of a game? And he might have to force LFY to kind of keep tabs on those lanes as we see a nice two-man stun connection here from Yao. That was wonderfully done. Leads to a takedown of Dubu. Just more support slaughter here by LFY. And okay.
That's Chrono.
Nice Chrono.
Oh my
God. Huge damage with the stacked arrow on top of it to slaughter Xiao Wei. They look to go for Yao, but Yao's going to be able to make it up and out from the back of that burrow, and then with a blink, he's out of there. But, okay, small response from MVP. It's good, but with that, with the Tinker coming together, doing Tinker things, I don't know if I would count MVP out. Not nearly as out as I would of LFY in Game 1.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Tinker is one of those heroes that could drag a game out long enough where, yeah, right now you have a big net worth deficit, but if the game gets dragged out, Febby might eventually go back for the Aghanim Scepter. I say that though, he's going for the physical damage commitment build.
Yeah, just pure carry, pure right click. You know, you've already committed this road. He's got to just keep going down it. You know, don't try to do the spellcaster kind of a thing. There's been few situations I've seen like dual core lineups with one being the Mirana, and I've seen late games where it's like, well, she's committed so hard to the spellcaster get up that you wish that she actually offered more damage. Well, Febby won't have that problem, so that'd be nice. He'll definitely be a factor in the late game. It's just a matter of MVP can get to the point where Mirana is actually a scary late gamer.
I think that the reason why we prefer the Aghanim Scepter so much on the Mirana is that it helps you farm like a god. I mean,
yeah, it really does.
Sure, your late game it's not as great, but you get there much quicker. It's kind of like the Shadow Fiend issue where, like, yeah, Shadow Fiend's not the best right clicker in the late game, but he gets there like 20 minutes before the enemy cores. And Mirana not going for that build is gonna further delay that late game. Speaking of which, looks like we're gonna see a little bit of rotation here.
They got a ward down early, so they already spotted out where the Ogre was, and they will take that opportunity to quickly execute him. Moonlight Shadow will come out. They drop more Sentry though, and they will have the vision. Couldn't make it back and away, even with how fat he is. He is going to be going down. Nice pick off there, and yeah, just to add on that note, and where you have a Tinker who could be on one side of the map, split pushing lanes, a Mirana with an Axe can also split push. She can spam out waves like nothing. Just, they melt like butter. That's where all that accelerated farm comes into play, but imagine stacking that kind of ability together with Tinker. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I feel like you could force LGD everywhere. Mid lane, Velo with the defensive Chrono. Able to get up to the high ground here, but Monet is still chasing. This a very awkward situation, but it looks like he's going to be able to make it out. While mid lane, Super has made his advancement. Caught out Febby. He's going to be out, and now they're going to look for the Dubu follow-up. Self-disruption, but he might have just put himself into a grave. He's gone.
I think one of the reasons that Febby did not go for the Aghanim spill is that he knows he can't split push that efficiently this game. Like, you have a Blink Sand King to deal against. You have a Blink Dragon Knight. There's Relocate. There's a Yule Scepter on Leshrac. Literally everybody on the side of LFY can catch you out. So Tinker can do it because Tinker's designed to do it with the Blink Dagger. But I don't think he feels comfortably doing it as himself. And going back to the question you asked earlier, can Tinker drag and carry this game? Yes, if the rest of MVP is diligent. If you just keep getting caught out like they have been for the past 5 minutes, it doesn't matter how much Tinker is going to farm in the meantime because you're just going to give away way too much gold. You know, giving away a free overkill every 20 seconds or so.
Ooh, Arrow catches on Xiao Wei, but he gets a nice little nudge right there from Yao rather, to push him on forward as they continue to move in for the Roche. Looks like they will be able to get the extra life. That one goes into Monet's pocket. And MVP will continue their split push game. They will be able to have a pretty good high ground behind them. I mean, March certainly makes it very difficult to penetrate into a base, and you have the Chrono factor on your team. It may not be Aghanim Starfall or Starstorm, but it is there. And with Poison stacks, what I'm getting at is that MVP can definitely hold a high ground. So LFI will have a little bit of a challenge ahead of them to make sure they get a good way to get themselves into Tier 3 territory.
Man, every time you say March and there's an MVP tag here, I was like, oh wait, he's that army.
Oh, yeah. Condolences. We miss our March. They do frequently still play Spirit Breaker, I would suppose, in his honor. We just weren't blessed with it so far in this series.
They play pubs together all the time. I see them on my friend list just constantly going at it, because I guess when March is not at the army, he's, you know.
He can play Dota and be in the army.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's a sweet deal.
De-rusting them skills, you know, making the preparation of the return.
The return to 6.98, whatever. I don't know how long March is. time will be. But I look forward to his return, and hopefully for his sake, he'll come back to a team that's TI 7 champion, right? There we go.
Sure. Although in this game, does not look good.
Not good in this one, and it doesn't look any better for Bebby, as raining in from the sky, LPC and Super Duo show up. They'll get that quick nab, and as they look for the Dubu follow-up, he's going to be able to get the disruption and walk on back out. With the Mirana now off the playing field here, LFY, going to be caught under a 2-man chrono. QO jumps in. Good burst is going to allow to get the kill on the Sand King, and they're going to look for the follow-up on the Super. He gets the BKB off, and they blow up and tear down. That Faceless Void, man, what a return fire coming out from Monet. LFY just shrug off that gank. I mean, a respectable hold from MVP, but LFY were just there for the real showstopper.
Yeah, now LFY says, all right, you don't have Chrono anymore? Okay, let's go. I mean, we don't have Dragon Form, but it doesn't need it. We don't need it if you don't have your best spell, so. Diabolic Edict, Xiaowei has, well, he is the director. He has painted the scenario where Leshrac support is actually good. And it's good this game.
And they push hard and fast. I mean, the opportunities this game with any sort of huge team win will allow them to easily clear out racks with the help of that Edict too. Oh man, quickly blowing up Dubu. Xiaowei though will be paying the price. Monet too will lose his Aegis here. Not before he's able to get that one last takedown of QO, who is going to be on the sidelines. Has a buyback here, but I mean the damage may have already been done. Racks are down. Bottom lane is totally open-ended now. MVP, they'll probably still look to hold and fight. They have ways to kind of deal with the stronger creeps, but we'll have to see how much fight is going to be left, at least in their hearts.
Jumping away, but it's nowhere to jump.
Jesus. Yeah, unmerciful here. LFY, really a nice job responding back to the huge performance by MVP in Game 1. We're going to be going to a Game 3, Lumi, and I don't know who the hell is going to be taking it because both teams have put on a very strong case.
I mean, I think what we have learned from both of these games is just focus on the lanes, right?
Yeah, really.
It doesn't matter how good your late game is. Tinker, great late game, sure, but not if you don't get there. Same thing, Morphling Game 1, great late game, not if you don't get there. So, on paper, it seemed like it was MVP that had the better laning stage. I mean, they got Ogre, right? And the other side, there's the support like Shrek. But I guess it just comes down to how you played it. Xiaowei played it very well this game, was able to get the first blood for the team, and kind of just roll from there.
Really good stuff here for Team Forever Young, and we'll go ahead and wait a bit as we're going to get ready up for game number 3, folks. We'll cut now. I'm KotLGuy, that's Lumi, and we'll be back for Game 3 action. For the MDL, it's Forever Young versus MVP. We'll see you soon.